savior complex and pick these guys off as they come to investigate. Like, we haven't heard from Outpost, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, like, but they are naively assuming that they got them all, even though they thought they got them all, and then the guy ran out with a motorcycle, and then it turns out he had a whole bunch of group, and then there even more came. Like, if Rick and company walk away thinking they've got them all, they're idiots.
Yeah, I agree.
Which we know they have been stupid a time or two before.
Also, what if the mission completely failed? Bringing 15 or so people out gives a much higher chance that at least one will get caught, tortured, and give up the location of Alexandria, which has only Morgan, Carl, and Eugene's T-shirt to defend it. Not a good strategic decision. Yeah, I mean, Rick's never been making the best strategic decisions.
But,
can I say
wait
that?
a second. His argument is to bring less people on this commando raid?
I guess.
This isn't,
right.
This is an all-in thing, man, I think.
The better part of his argument is get to know a little bit more about them before you attack. There's really no rush. I mean, when is the next delivery for the Hilltop people?
Here's the thing. There's no rush. How do they know? Because, as we know...
Fake Gregory Head works regardless, right? They can scout. There's no rush to do the attack.
But what if Negan's group finds them tomorrow? That was what Rick's whole argument is. The longer we wait, the more likely these people, and we've got the advantage, let's press our advantage. I find it hard.
But they can gain more of an advantage by giving it another day or two. Take that risk.
That's a risk.
But it's a calculated risk that I think pays off for them.
If he had a company, if he had like 100 guys, I would say that it's smarter to, send a scouting
But the point is they didn't know. He might have 100 guys. They don't know.
But I'm saying all Rick had is the 12 people or so you don't have enough to send half, and you don't want to wait for a couple days.
If Rick had 100. Gotcha.
Yeah, if Rick had 100, then sure, send a scouting party and send a raid party. If it's sparsely defended, then crush them. If you need more, then come. But they don't, so... To me, this is a much more marginal call. This is the least controversial thing Rick has done in his capacity as a leader, I think.
Right. And that's why I'm saying Rick's decisions and plans don't always make the best strategic sense.
Sure. But
he often has to call audibles.
Like the initiative is a real thing in warfare, especially in like this kind of fog of darkness warfare where you don't know anything about the other team.
Right. Sherry in Eureka, Montana. I guess there's a Eureka, Montana. Says, regarding Carol and Tobin hookup, Tobin's being very kind to Carol, calling out her inner strength and leadership and the fact that he cares about her. And maybe it's because it's nighttime. Maybe it's because she's feeling a little sentimental, given her kill list.
Maybe because the moon's in the sky like a big pizza pie.
Maybe. If Dino has anything to say about it. Or maybe it's because it's the apocalypse and tomorrow we might all be dead. I can very easily see how a slight attraction to someone the right age who's saying meaningful things at the right time might lead to a way more than it should in today's world.
I had some discussions with a variety of people about this topic, and I'm like, I guess my problem is I'm looking at this from a millennial perspective, and that, like, I don't know why Carol is putting on the appearance of seriousness with this guy. This should just be a hookup. Whereas, like, if she's looking at it from, like, my dad's generation, this hookup stuff scares the shit. They, like, just don't... Like, even when they're hooking up, they don't want to call it a hookup. Like that, because that would trivialize the thing that they're doing. So, Carol's right there. She's older than me, but not significantly so. So I could see that, like, that's... And, maybe she got married out of high school to her high school abuser, and she's never known any other... Like, there's a lot of reasons why this could happen. I don't like it anymore, but it's less offensive on the face of it than...
Okay, let me read the next one, because it also deals with Carol and Tobin.
Right.
Keds, which I think is a brand of shoes, says, even though I don't like Tobin because he's as useless as the drywall prison, there was a scene with him and Carol when they first made it to Alexandria. It was a scene where Carol left the window open in order to get into the armory and steal the guns. Tobin introduced himself and was immediately hitting on her by offering to teach her how to shoot. She seemed uninterested, and I feel like she still isn't really interested because he would just be another person to worry about that can't take care of himself. That being said, she is a woman, and she has needs, so I was okay with her scratching an itch with him. I didn't feel like that's what it was. They made it feel like it was more than that.
Yep.
But he says, I doubt it will be anything other than that.
If she had made it clear, like, this is all this is.
Right.
And something can come from that, but... Yeah, in fact, I remember that sequence of her being the housewife and them being the strong guys showing her how to shoot. And I remember her thinking this is patronizing and annoying.
And she was also playing the, fake Carol, badass Carol.
You also got Han Solo and Princess Leia. She found his behavior highly patronizing and insulting, and yet they fell in love.
Right.
Now, Tobin's no fucking Han Solo.
Fuck, no.
While they're upgrading the drywall prison, maybe Morgan can weld him a spine. So Carol can respect him. I don't know.
You can't weld charisma and charm, and he's got none of that either, so I don't know what to tell him.
Maybe if Reg was still alive, he'd work some magic with the cold rolled backbone, but
right.
He's probably fucked, yeah.
Steven says, I went to Walker Stalker Con this past weekend in Dallas and got to meet Michael Kudlitz and get an autograph. I didn't realize that every stop the con makes, they have a food drive for local shelter. When I walked up to his booth, I saw on either side of the table there were pallets of Bisquick, and at the top of the table was covered in boxes and bottles of Bisquick.
Now, I understand that's a Michael Kudlitz thing. That's not necessarily a Walker Stalker thing.
Is that right?
Because I saw a similar thread on Reddit.
Uh-huh.
In fact, the verbiage is so much that I wonder if this guy wrote in and did, because why not?
Might be both. Yeah.
But I got the impression that was something that the actor himself did because he was involved in, not something that the Walker Stalker people did.
Okay.
Whoever's
Either
behind
way,
it,
I think it's cool.
Yeah, great. Sure.
And if it was the Walker Stalker guys, I would have been like, oh, man, that's cool. They go around to these cities and they do something good for the community there.
Yeah.
If it's just Michael doing it, good on him.
Yeah.
Either way. Tyler says, I can't help but wonder how easy it is to actually stick a knife through the skull of a living person. Tyler, you have dark thoughts. I can justify the zombie killing done this way because of the decaying body and all, but the skull of a healthy human, they showed little to no effort pushing a blade through bone. Help me understand this, please. I think you are making the classic Walking Dead mistake, thinking. I don't think you should think so hard about this show. I've stopped thinking that hard about it. I think everyone would do well to follow my lead.
I mean, it's a knife. It's designed to penetrate.
Right, but I find it hard to believe that you could just hold the knife against someone's skull and press and have it go through.
I
think you would have to get
a
momentum.
butcher shop and stab some pig heads.
All right.
Because I bet. I mean, I've never done it myself.
Yeah.
But I bet it's pretty easy. Like, I bet you could.
I can't imagine it would be
I bet
easy.
you can grab. You can with just steady pressure push a sharp knife through a pig skull.
Okay. My instinct says that's not right, but maybe it is. I really don't know anything about it. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next lunch with Jim and Aaron, we get a pig head. We bring it in the studio. And we start stabbing.
They're not that hard because no one wants a pig head. Like my granddad.
And then we make head cheese.
That's how I used to make. I was gonna say that's how I used to make head mush. He'd boil a fucking pig's head for a horrifically long time and make a god awful smell. But the end result was delicious. So,
I've never had head cheese.
It's I don't know if they call it head mush. I don't know if that's a German regional thing, but it was good. It was like Geta. Have you ever had Geta?
No.
Reminds me a lot of Geta. Which is a similar kind of meal, kind of breakfast food.
The singer?
No. Yeah, David Guetta. Have you ever heard David Guetta? He's amazing.
Christine says, in your last podcast, you were talking about why Carol has convinced the others not to say anything about Morgan and the wolf dude. And she mentions Denise, and you guys said Denise didn't do anything wrong. I'm not so sure that I agree, and that Rick and company would agree with either. She snuck off with Morgan in secret to give medical attention to someone who attacked our group and who could be dangerous, thereby putting herself, the only doctor, at risk. So that's what I think Carol was talking about. Yeah, I suppose so.
All she got to do, because the group knows Denise and kind of how she rolls. All she's got to do is like Hippocratic oath, bitch.
Right.
What are they going to do? Execute her? No, she's the only thing that they got that resembling a medic.
Right. How much trouble is she really going to get in?
That's what I'm saying. Like, let's define trouble. Like stink eye, a strong talking to.
Put you in the drywall prison and only bring you out when we need doctoring.
She's going to be like Brad Pitt in Inglourious Bastards. I might get my ass chewed, but I've had my ass chewed before, so I'm still going to patch up any wolf I see. I don't know. Like again, how much trouble are we talking about? It's Denise, for God's sakes.
Are you ready to talk about grow ops?
Sure. That's my favorite That's my favorite Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare grow ops. It's a bunch of DEA guys in helicopters with a FLIR and kicking a bunch of tubby dudes holding Doritos and shooting their dogs. Flashbanging their baby cribs.
God. That's horrible. Anthony J, 1997. I guess it's a username. Doesn't sound like a real name.
Okay.
While you guys are correct that an indoor marijuana grow operation would take up a lot of energy, cultivating medical-grade cannabis isn't as easy as just throwing some seeds outside.
It's not?
Also, growing outdoors takes a lot of time. Planting in the summer, harvesting in the fall. Growing indoors allows for multiple harvests. Glad to hear about the medicinal benefits of cannabis on your podcast. Hopefully we can legalize it across the nation. I'm writing from Oregon, where I helped lead the legalization effort here. So I'm not a grower myself, but I'm certainly familiar with the practice, both indoor, which is especially prevalent in the Portland area, and outdoor cultivation, more prevalent in Southern Oregon. So sounds like as close to an expert as we'll get admitting that they grow weed. Or, well, he said he doesn't grow weed. He just helps with the legalization effort.
I'm from Ohio, where we're more against oligarchies than we are like locking people up for smoking herbs. So our
right. Both
our legalization got exploded.
Take your pick. One's bad, and the other's bad. What are you gonna do?
Well, I have the lessers of two evils in my mind, but
certainly,
Josh, 2/3 of Ohioans disagreed.
Apparently so. Josh says, I have a small beef with how you guys took Morgan's comment to Rick about why they don't just go talk with the Saviors. I took that as Morgan slightly chiding Rick on his we will win mentality. Rick basically said, it'll get ugly, but we have to do it, and we will win. Morgan was effectively saying, if it's as easy as that, then just telling them that would be enough, which I think he actually says out loud, right? That why don't we just tell them that? That should be enough?
Yes.
If we are that superior, they will find it in their best interest to just stand down.
That's the problem.
The problem... Okay, and let me finish this email.
Yep.
There are plenty of countries who have been held in check with just the threat of violence from a country with a superior fighting force. It's not like Morgan's comments were that off base, but I agree the endless moralizing is too much. And that's the problem, is they don't have that information. They don't know if there's the superior force, and by going to talk with them, they might be giving up their only advantage.
Yeah.
And that's a chance that they shouldn't be willing to take, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you're free to disagree.
No, I mean, it's like, the famous thing where, Philip of Macedonia came to the king of Sparta and say, if I come to your country, I will burn your crops and kill your children and enslave your women. And the king of Sparta sitting back, if. You can get away with that if you've got the Battle of Thermopylae and a whole bunch of crazy warrior cult stuff going on. If you're just Rick from Alexandria, you'll probably get your ass kicked in because the threat of violence isn't going to work. Rick's not world famous. His band is not, you'd have to say, hey, come and tour our armory and see how many people we got and ignore Eugene. He's kind of an idiot. Like, that only works if you're super famous for being badasses. And Rick's
if you
not.
Actually have some sort of superiority in numbers. Like,
sure. Now, it'd be cool, like, later on in show lore, if, like, the legend of Rick and Alexandria grows, it would be interesting to see how that kind of, like, gunboat diplomacy would go down. But I don't think it would work. Yeah,
I don't think so either.
But I do, it's fair point for Morgan to be like, if you think it's going to be that easy, like, why do you think it's going to be that? Do you think how many people do you think are going to die? Like, put a number on it.
Right, and that's why I think I said last episode, I don't have a problem with Morgan standing up and saying what he believes.
Yeah, I wish that he'd have been smarter about it. Like, if the writers had him say, how easy is it going to be? Rick's like, well, how many people are going to die? How many of our people are going to die?
Right. How do you know we'll win?
Yeah.
Like, how many people do they have? Where are they?
Yeah.
What kind of weapons do they have? Like,
just so like everyone's like everyone should have man. I don't think Rick has a lot of that information. He's going off a lot of gut and But make Rick admit to that so people can go into the decision with their eyes open.
Right, and then afterward you can kind of say, look. This didn't work out because we were ill prepared and we didn't consider other options. Maybe he'd have a point after that.
Yeah.
If it didn't work out. Anyway, Michelle from California says about this episode, and she's talking about this week. I can see how some people might think this episode was dialogue heavy and mostly filler, but I found it to be an interesting exploration of the commonalities between both sides of a war, as much as they want to deny it and even say as much. Alicia Witt and Carol shared See, even the people writing in aren't using character names.
I was going to, but they died. As soon as they all died at the end of the episode, I'm like, nope, this is going to be Alicia Witt and Lunger and Stepdad.
Yep. So Alicia Witt and Carol shared common ground in that they both had a man who abused them, both lost daughters, and they both killed double-digit numbers of people. The woman keeping watch over Maggie had also lost her father. These are women who are all...
And a baby.
And a baby, yeah. These are women who are all hurting in similar ways without wanting to admit it, and as much as recognizing it would only serve to make them twice as strong. They are in the same boat. Then there's some comment about Patty from Leftovers that no one will get. So, yeah, I agree with that. This is a fairly apt name for an episode. This is a well-named episode.
And that was the intriguing part. It just feels like this was an episode crying out for Rick and company to have something interesting to do and to cut to them, because it's a fine, interesting episode. It felt like it could have certainly carried the A plot. It needed a B plot.
You think tracking them might have been enough?
That could have been something. Like, you get to show, like, you know, how they're actually tracking them and finding them, and like conversations, and having Glenn show some emotion about, like, we didn't get to see any of that. We got to see the resolution of it. Like, just take 10 minutes off the pressure of the main plot.
Right. The waiting.
Yeah.
The waiting game that was the main plot.
Because it's a strong plot, and I'm glad they kept to one episode, but it could have used a little bit of cutting back to our other group to build tension.
Yeah, I agree. Mark from Cold Frozen Milsucky, as he puts it. I hate to say it for the fear of the jinx, but the show has moved to a new level. I just don't trust it. Like I'm waiting for something stupid. That shot of Carol clutching the rosary with the blood dripping, sick shot. Mm-hmm. New level, not trusted. Okay, so I didn't like this as much as Mark did, but I wouldn't say it was bad. I don't think it was a bad episode. But I don't know if I trust the show. Like him, I don't know if I trust the show to have moved to a new level. I think it's gotten lucky, like Glenn, and it has not had to kill any episodes this season, except for maybe the first one.
You know, the thing is like, if this was any other show, like if this was a Better Call Saul, if this was a Breaking Bad, if this was The Leftovers, we would have said when this episode aired, well, you know, all the great shows, you know, take every once in a while, take their breath and step back and take a break from the action and set up the next thing, the next conflict, the next whatever, and that's what they're doing, and we enjoy it for what it is. But The Walking Dead has got us all, you know, we're always tensing for the punch, so we're not inclined to give it that same kind of slack, because I think if you saw this as just a run-of-the-mill, take a breather, we just had insane action, we got to have a resolution to it, it's fine.
No, but I don't think the clunky pieces would have been there in a better written show. I don't think the stagnation would have felt like stagnation. I think it would have felt like taking a breath, not just sitting there. Like, that's the thing about Breaking Bad, when it pulls back and you're in the White House.
I'm having a hard time putting my finger on exactly what's the difference, though.
I think it's just problems with repetition of the same thing over and over again. It's slowing it down in a way that doesn't quite.
Well, like a show, if The Walking Dead was executing on those shows' levels, you could get away with just a 60-second shot of Carol breathing, or sharpening a rosary, or so many different things, because it's just like really absorbing and fun to watch. I don't know exactly why this show can't get away with that either.
But I mean, you wouldn't have Walt saying what he's going to do 5 times in 6 scenes.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have that. You have an interesting scene, like questioning, oh, what is he thinking? Why is he doing what he's doing? Oh, okay. And at the end of the scene, you get it, and they don't keep harping on it like The Walking Dead does, and I feel like that's where it falls down.
Yeah, and then also it's like this Alicia performance would not exist in a better show.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised they got Stepdad and her for a one-shot episode.
Okay, I don't know who that guy is, so I don't give a fuck.
I've seen him in a bunch of different
stuff. He's a nobody to me.
He's like, you know, a co-star in Banshee, which is a fairly big show,
I guess.
But, you know, Alicia Witt is fairly famous.
Yeah.
She's had a full season arc in Justified.
I was surprised that she didn't stick around longer. Yeah. I think we both were.
Yeah, no, I was strapped in for her to be a character throughout the rest of the season, maybe not long term.
Yeah.
I don't think she corresponds to any. You know, this is again another wholly made up for the show kind of phenomenon. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have like inside information about her being a particular character, but just from her stature. Anyway,
rest of the season is a flashback.
It's
and Alicia Witt.
We go back to her secretary days, watch her boiling coffee.
She has to deal with some Tobin alike.
Yep.
constantly hitting on her.
Yep,
she's not interested.
She's pinning up shit on her cubicle board for her motivation. Yep.
All right. Moving on. Singleton says, and this might be a little spoilery, so I apologize. And if you say that it is, I will take it out. I don't totally get the exact meaning of the reference here.
Oh shit!
But they seem to think it was funny.
I got my finger on the 5-second delay button.
This Singleton saw it on Reddit and had to include it.
Okay.
Hilarious and accurate. He or she says. She, I think. Negan, the Dread Pirate Roberts of the zombie apocalypse.
Okay.
Is that spoilery for The Walking Dead? I don't get it. Do you get it?
I'm not. So she's saying
might take this out 'cause it's
I'm
bullshit,
Negan. Is it kind of like she's going with the angle of, it's more the idea that inspires the necessary dread. So several people are being taken on and they're apprentice Negans. Like Negan's a franchise opportunity, almost
It's
like
being handed down to the next person.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's
Primo
where
was Negan for now, and then
yeah. He's going to take on an underling and.
Gotcha. Okay, so not spoilery.
No, it's a Princess Bride spoiler, if anything.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
but it's just a really lame one because the second the Dread Pirate Robert shows up, you know he's Wesley.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Jackie says, I'm torn. On the one hand, I'm kind of thrilled that we had a full hour of this show that so easily passes the Bechdel test. The male characters sidelined or in peripheral roles. I really like Carol and Maggie, and I was so happy to see them save themselves from their damsels in distress predicament. And the acting in this was mostly pretty great, John aside. However, I have to admit it sort of dragged, didn't it? I wanted to like it better, and it wasn't terrible, but there were all those repetitive threats from the captors and the monologuing, and I don't know what was going on with Carol's big act exactly, other than being confusing. I'm not sure what effect she was trying for. Well, maybe next time. Yeah, that kind of sums up how I feel.
Well, the other thing, I didn't say anything about it, although I was thinking it, but since he brought up the topic, is it...
He? I don't think Jackie's going to like that.
Oh, sorry. They, he or she brought up the fact that like this is kind of like pass the Bechdel test. The other problem with it is I think it's a problem to have the softer side of the saviors represented by a largely female band. In fact, the belligerent male is the one that has to be kind of restrained and eventually killed, so that vibe like. Guys can't. I mean, that's the where sexism cuts both ways. Like men are the mindless. Like if the post-apocalyptic world is run by women, there wouldn't be any band of savages. I don't believe that.
Sure.
So I don't know. That's more of a men's lib thing than a women's lib. But I did think it was a little bit interesting that's kind of sexist to say that you get all the women saviors to themselves and they're going to be soft. They're not going to be able to do the stuff that needs to be done.
Right.
Anyway.
There's also a line from Alicia Witt who's like, men can't handle pain.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know if I agree with. Ask a Marine if men can handle pain.
It's dumb. Yeah. All sexism is dumb.
It is.
That's what people don't realize.
It's real dumb. Generalizing to an entire sex is a silly thing to do.
Sure, yeah.
Regardless of where you're coming from. Kevin from California says, guys, did we slip into some alternate universe where every episode is tense and action-packed and violent and awesome? What the fuck are they doing? Do we have to pay for this with an equal number of boring as shit episodes later?
That's been the case, but I have high hopes that the deferment of construction costs to large standing outdoor sets is going to be the savior.
Right.
Because latex and fake blood is cheap.
Yes, it is. I don't know. I included all sorts of opinions on this episode because I feel like it was an either or.
Yeah, no.
You can kind of go either way on it.
I wouldn't say divisive because I don't think anybody hated it.
No.
But it's certainly how much slack you're willing to cut The Walking Dead for an episode like this probably says a lot more about your relationship with the show than it does about the show itself.
Yeah. Isaac says, normally I write in with a more well thought out email, but I'm just finishing this episode and I'm like, who the fuck is this Carol and when did she get here? What the fuck was that? All of a sudden she's, dare I say, hesitant to kill people? Since when? Yeah. I don't know. So, like I said earlier, I think ever since the switch in tone that she's had, they've rolled that out pretty successfully. What I don't quite understand is they didn't sell me on why she would switch her mind, change her mind so drastically.
Well,
on
also
this.
there was no drift between the changing of the mentality and the changing of actions. Like maybe she is starting to have second thoughts about the necessity of killing, but when you have to kill to protect Maggie, who you just last episode went through a shit fit about that she put herself in this position anyway, that doesn't seem like the Carol that Carol might feel bad about it afterwards and be regretful and worried, like publicly, I'm losing my mind here, but to not take action. And you're in good company if you're saying bullshit, because Alan Sepinwall hated that aspect of it. And he said, I don't think it's accurate to say it came totally out of nowhere, but
Right.
I suspect he's watching most of these background on a DVD screener while he's writing an article on a better show. So, but I get what he's saying, because I think the mentality is fine, but the way she's doing her actions, I just... Not that's what, like, you know, you've changed your mind on some pretty big things. Like, it takes a while. There's an inertia to the habits and your patterns of life. You can't just like whoop, throw a switch and be on the other track. And I feel like they're doing a fine job with showing the psychology changing, but bottom line is Maggie's in danger and you got to take action to save your I think she would do that. Especially since she just fucking got done giving... I'm talking about when she missed stepdad. She just got done giving that speech.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's weird. And Maggie's sitting there like a dead fish while Carol's about to die. That doesn't make any sense at all either.
Okay, I do want to talk a little bit about Maggie here, because it looks like they're using Maggie to kind of make a counterpoint to Carol here. Or maybe they're trying to use Carol to show how far gone Maggie is at this point. But Maggie is very okay with killing. Maggie's just like, yeah, kill them all. Let's do this. This is my
idea, yeah.
Right. She's feeling pretty hard right now, whereas Carol's kind of going in the opposite direction. Did you think at all about that? Like, is that something they're doing on purpose to show that maybe everyone around Carol is also where Carol was half a season ago?
Maybe. It's weird because when I was watching Maggie listen to Carol kvetch about her newfound problem with killing, I thought it was interesting because the look on Maggie's face is how I look as a viewer whenever I hear Morgan. You know, she's like kind of like you got her jaw gritted and she can't believe what she's hearing and kind of disappointed in her. But I don't know. Maybe, but. Again, I think we've seen Rick especially pendulum back and forth between madman and farmer that I lose patience for him swinging back as violently. Like, I'm fine with a couple more swings, but he needs to come to kind of like this centrist where he needs to be as a post-apocalyptic leader. Carol may be the same. I don't know.
Okay. Daniel E. says, when you take Carol hostage, she's really taking you hostage. Hashtag Carol facts. Pretty much. It's like a Rorschach thing. Locked in here with Carol. Beverly B says, I saw some internet chatter about Maggie not being maternal and wanted to express my outrage at that. Being maternal...
What?
Apparently people on the internet are saying that. I don't know.
Not being maternal?
Yeah. And she goes on to explain, being maternal means many things, including doing what has to be done. For suburban mothers like me, that means catching vomit in your hands, confronting the parent of a bully, or using a rectal thermometer when the doc says you must. In the zombie apocalypse, it means killing the people who kidnapped you. She was maternal. But Carol, I like the way you weren't sure at times of how much of her fear/angst was an act, but having her fail to shoot the redhead at the end was a cop-out on the nice line.
Agreed.
When she said she had feared this, it should have ended with her doing what had to be done, not wavering.
Well, so I don't know if people argued that she wasn't maternal this week. I feel like you can make the argument she wasn't maternal when she decided to come on the mission in the first place.
Yeah, okay. I could see that argument. Because that's certainly not thinking of the child. Sure.
It's like if, would a pregnant woman enlist into war, even if her country, if there was an, it's one thing to take up a gun and kill a home, someone invading your home or trying to do you harm, but there's also like, is this absolutely necessary? She thought it was as a leader, and you can debate that, but I'd say that's arguably not. What did she do that was non-maternal in this episode, other than almost let Carol die?
I don't know.
Huh?
Couldn't tell you.
All right.
I don't know why people would be saying that, but I don't see it. Barry C from the UK. Remind me, guys, what is the significance of where the Savior got the bike from? I know Daryl had it stolen, in hindsight, presumably by a Savior, but did he reveal any significant information to them about Alexandria, the group, etc.? No. I think it was literally
he got stolen
just
from the trucking people.
Yeah.
Who I don't think
are implied are saviors.
Are they?
I think so. And it's also implied that they caught the hippies. Those weren't hippies, but they were in the woods and they were a completely
I thought this was
couple.
just a band that was part of that trucking company that had the truck, and they stole Daryl's bike and they rode off, and the implication is they fell afoul of the saviors, and then they're either joined the saviors, because how do the saviors recruit? Like, do they have an open recruitment when they first come to like a hilltop and be like, all right, who's all your badasses? Come with us. All you serfs, stay behind and give us tribute. Because if they just come and enslave an entire community, how do they ever grow? Well, do they need to grow? I mean, these are all open questions.
Maybe I'm wrong in this. Maybe I'm misremembering. But weren't the three people who escaped, who Daryl found, weren't they escaped from like a colony? Like, didn't they make a point?
See, I found that very hard to follow because there was the forest fire and the fuel truck, and they worked for the fuel company, and they were looking for a woman that turned out to be a truck, and then there was people in another grow house that got melted. But I remember at the time, like, what the fuck are they trying to tell me with all this?
I think they were trying to say that they were part of a bigger group,
but they did not strike me as saviors. They struck me as people who might have been overly concerned with being victimized by people like the saviors. But
okay, maybe. Yeah, I don't think it's totally clear, but you're free to draw your own conclusions, Barry.
But yeah, I think Daryl had a soft spot for those people, and they stole his bike, and he's concerned with what happened to them when they stole his bike.
Oh yeah, definitely. So Dan from Philly says, "Hey guys, what the fuck? Another, dare I say, great episode."
I would not dare you to.
Okay, that's not the most controversial thing he's about to say.
I'd say slow your roll on the dares, man. What are you, Daredevil?
Dan's also going to say 5 weeks in a row, and I'm frankly blown away.
What? Did we forget? There were some people liking the premiere.
I didn't like it. I know a lot of people did.
I would for sure say that wasn't a turd episode.
No.
So if you're going for like a 5-episode non-turd stretch,
well, I mean it wasn't great. It wasn't great.
So they had a 3-episode stretch of good episodes. Is this a good episode? I would say this is an okay episode.
Yeah, this is it's certainly not a poor episode.
So like at a 5-star scale, the last 3 had been 4-star. This is a 3-star.
I might even have thrown a 5-star in there, maybe.
Well, on a Walking Dead scale, sure.
Right.
If your Walking Dead scale, yeah, for sure one of them was a 5-star.
Yeah.
Because I called it like perhaps the greatest episode. I mean, I know those words came out of my mouth. So.
Right. He says, from a horrible show in the first half of season 6 to flat out horror show in the second. Wait. Horror show in the good sense, I guess. Mm-hmm. My only fear is with the coming attractions for next week that this fucking Morgan is going to be like a virus of boredom. But then again, maybe they need a quiet episode before the big last 2. Yeah, I can see that. And I think there's going to be some... I don't want to call it Morgalizing next episode because it could be good. I just think Carol and Morgan are going to have some words. And they're going to have something to discuss. Finally.
I'm fine with that, honestly.
Yeah.
It just depends on how well it's written.
Right.
But I can see that being interesting. And, hopefully what happens is Morgan and Carol kind of meet each other in the middle. Like, Morgan grows up a little bit and realizes that his black and white worldview will not work. And so was Carol, that there are these shades of gray, and you have to use nuance and discerning, and you can't just, not the world's not one big nail that you can just hammer. So they both need to change and grow, but
yeah, hopefully they do that. Natalie says the good of this episode was the action, especially the grisly death of Paula and Carol's MacGyver crematorium, and all the female-to-female interactions which The Walking Dead can be a bit shitty at. I'm pretty certain that in 3 seasons, Michonne and Carol have never had a conversation, for instance. Mm-hmm. She might be right about that. I can't recall one. The bad was that this episode was essentially the writers putting the story on pause because 6B has one more episode than they actually need. The few important newish things we learned this episode could have been in last episode. Carol could have confronted Could have had a confrontation with the Savior during the raid that highlighted her new reluctance to kill. A lot of other things could have happened. That said, in the pantheon of the Walking Dead filler/bottle episodes, this one rates high to me, even though I was nodding off during the mini "What are you afraid of?" conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I agree with all that.
All right, Marquis says that this episode was great. Loved the turn of events from the past few half seasons, where it kicked off with an amazing action, then devolved into plot oatmeal. Total opposite here. Underwhelming premiere followed by a great story. So much tension this week and a great guest starring role. Didn't recognize Alicia Witt last week. Took a few minutes for the gears to turn, and she had a most righteous death. Best zombie chowdown scene in ages.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty good. Anyway, how glad are we that instead of having Carol and Morgan talk for 3 episodes, we saw Carol temper her actions based on how Morgan's approach has influenced her. While there wasn't a huge build-up to her moral dilemma, I feel like it was very in line with Carol's character to keep her own counsel. Not until she is put to the test do we see how she is coping with these moral choices. Melissa McBride continues to be amazing, totally would be deserving of award recognition as supporting role. And I really enjoyed that Maggie got to showcase her lack of mercy. She is totally beyond hand-wringing over good guys versus bad guys. Maybe Tobin should have given her the "you can do this because you're a mom" speech. Glenn might have not liked the aftermath of that.
You will be a mom, yeah.
Having his pregnant wife mouth kiss milk
Maggie
toast.
would kill Tobin
Son of a
without even
bitch.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
There'd be another memorial up on the wall.
They wouldn't bury him? Is that what you're implying?
Right. No, Maggie would drag
Jesus.
his ass to the quarry, push him off, and then keep erasing his name when people start trying to put it up.
Yep. We still got a few more emails here. King Gore says, is Negan an entity, like an idea or religion, or is there a cast actor for this role? I don't remember anything like this in the comics. How cool would it be if all these guys just believe in the same things and Negan is a way of living, not a person?
It would be cool to be if he's like a Ra's al Ghul type.
Right, yeah.
It's a name I was trying to, the League of Shadows name I was trying to remember. I couldn't. But no, that would be a very cool development, I think.
All right, Jenkins B says, firstly, these past 5 episodes are arguably the best streak of 5 Walking Dead episodes since the first season.
That's not hard to argue.
Yeah, because the first season didn't really have 5 in a row.
First season had a couple clunkers in there.
Yeah. In hindsight, do you guys have any regret not continuing the instant cast? No. 0. I think we talk enough about this show in the 2 hours that we spend every Monday.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. Like, I still do the live watch, which is entertaining and interesting, and that frees. I think I do a much better job in the. I think this is. It's hard because yes, if this show was this good last season, we wouldn't have ever had the conversation.
Yeah.
But sometimes you luck into things because I feel like this is the perfect way to cover it. You do the live watch where you just kind of jokey and have fun with the fans. And then you do the full depth coverage accelerated on Monday. And that just paces out things so much nicer, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not regretting the decision.
Yeah. Now, if this ever becomes like a super cerebral, deep show with a lot of and that's the thing, we always reserve the right to change it back.
Yeah.
Or expand it or do whatever we want with it.
Right. Maybe we'll want that kind of shallow instant take and then postpone the real show a few days and get a deep coverage.
But that's always a calculus. It's not like, we always think of like, okay, in terms of the product we're putting out, can we put out a consistently good product if we have X amount of coverage? Like a lot of times, I think people think that we make decisions about what gets instant cast and what gets the, when Game of Thrones, we split out the feedback, the spoiler feedback to another cast. It's like that's all just to chase numbers. And it's more like what is the fit for the material.
Right.
Like, you get a show like The Leftovers where we do what we call a half-ass podcast format, but nobody, I don't think, would say that that's a half-ass podcast.
God, I hope not, because I put more effort into that most of the time.
But The Leftovers doesn't lend itself to a scene-by-scene. It's much more thematic, and we have a much more interesting conversation that way. So, believe it or not, we try to tailor the coverage to maximize the quality of the product rather than just, we only have so much time to do this week, so fuck it.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, unlike AMC selling millions of dollars of advertising, the numbers don't really benefit us that much.
Sure.
Honestly. Like, capturing X thousands of people 3 times a week versus once a week doesn't matter to us.
Yeah.
It's still the same number of people hearing our stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we could get double the downloads probably by splitting the feedback, move it to Thursday, but why?
Downloads don't matter.
I know.
Unless you're getting paid for them.
And you're just pissing off the
so.
fans to get double the downloads, which is probably going to lead to not getting double the downloads.
So there's your insider minute with Bald Move.
Yep.
Finally, Caprica says, regardless, I truncated this email, obviously. Regardless, curious to hear your thoughts on how this additional massacre against even more saviors will affect the group. At this point, they've killed at least 25 of the saviors from the moment we found them at the start of the half season, and that's a low number. Each one of them has died a pretty messed up death, if you ask me. How will Negan approach... Oh, this person, Caprica, is he or she? I don't know. Is assuming that Negan is still out there, or that Negan is a concept. How will he retaliate, and how the hell is he going to find out about all this? Our guys left no stone unturned as far as we know. What will be the breadcrumb that leads the saviors their way? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't even know if it'll happen like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows?
And then...
those are all mildly interesting questions to ask.
Right, and then Caprica asks also the question we were pondering a second ago, were the people who set the trap in the truck yard, remember that back in Season 5? Mm-hmm. Were they saviors?
I thought those were wolves.
I thought so too.
Or they also could have been the trucker company people.
Potentially, yeah. Which I think are saviors, but you don't.
I don't. No, I don't.
Right.
I think they were, no.
Yeah, so...
That might be an unknowable question, though.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're trying to necessarily say it, like who those people were. Mm-hmm. I thought the motorcycle was a fairly good indication, but...
Because the other thing is, we know for factors, I think there are multiple settlements besides the Hilltop and Alexandria, because the Hilltop's already trading with communities, unless they are saying that the saviors are a community they're trading with, which is not
really
what I would describe it.
That's not trade.
It's more of a
paying tithe.
Yeah, it's more of a Mongol steppe people horde.
Yeah,
exacting tribute than true trade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm still hopeful that there's.
This is not the Silk Road here.
Yeah,
we're talking about.
I'm still hopeful that the world will get even larger, and we'll have multiple settlements before everything is all said and done, and we'll have a lot more colorful characters that we don't have to touch in with every week, and it'll be cool.
All right, well that's it for feedback, and that's gonna be the end of the show.
Stuff?
We do have some spoiler emails. We'll get to.
Cool. Because I actually had some spoiler things I wanted to say.
All right, yeah, we'll have them after the music. How do people get in touch with us? What's the outro on this?
Watching Dead at baldmove.com, and that's where you send your emails. And also we have a show thread, forums.baldmove.com. There's also a comic, like a comic spoilers season 6 thread going.
Okay.
If you want to talk spoilers, please don't do it in the regular threads, because everyone's seen the TV show, but not everybody's read the comics.
Right.
So start your own spoiler thread, or join into the mega spoiler thread that we got going in the Watching Dead forums.
Yeah, it does bring up something else that was on my mind. About this show in general.
What's that?
And about the format of it. Like, it always does seem. One of our listeners was writing in about it. How it seems like maybe they have a few too many episodes, or the season doesn't always seem to match the size of the season.
But they always have to make 16.
Right, they've always got to make that many, and they're trying to hit certain beats from the comic at certain times because they're rightfully, because they're big moments, right?
Yeah,
you want to hit those big moments at the end of a season or the end of a half season, and if you just don't have enough material to quite get there from the comics, then you got to start making stuff up, and that's kind of what all this has been, right? Sure.
I mean,
I don't know.
This is what television struggled with for decades. You know, they had 24 episodes no matter what.
Right, but they also didn't have the added baggage of a comic book.
Oh, that they actually
have
a continuity that they have
certain
to.
Points.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I feel like that adds an extra layer of difficulty.
But on the other hand, you've got years to work on these problems. Like
right.
I mean, maybe Scott's at the end of the season clocks out and doesn't think about the show. But as a showrunner, I think it's kind of on you to you and Kirkman to hammer out like a Bible that says this is this season, and if you don't have that shit kind of specced out to roughly the episode and years in advance, then It ain't my problem for caring, for caring too much about it. It's your problem for caring too little.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
All right. We'll see you next week. And we're back with the spoiler section. I've got a few emails. You said you had some stuff you wanted to talk about as well. What do you want to do first here?
Let's go with the emails because you put me on the spot. Now I forgot what I want to talk about.
Okay, we'll start off with Jacob. And I can't remember if I read through these or not. So some of them
I
may be
just
rambling.
remembered what I wanted. Do you want to go with emails or do you want to go with my unique thoughts right up the top?
Let's call the audible. Let's go with your thoughts.
This stuff they're doing with the I Am Negan is really cool, and this is one of the things where real life intrudes upon the storytelling in ways I don't know that they could prevent, because we already know that Negan's been cast as a flesh and blood person.
Right. Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
And I wish I didn't, because I'd be thinking, like, if I wasn't a comic fan, I'd be thinking, oh, wow, this could be like next level stuff. And if I was a comic fan, I'd be thinking, oh, this might be a potentially cool remix, but I know it's a Spartacus. It's a standard Spartacus situation.
Right.
I don't know whether he's trained him to do that or what, but so it's still a cool twist on the concept.
And I think it's a fairly effective tactic, even if we know better.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's without merit altogether, since we know that he's a real guy, but yeah, you're right. It would be more effective for us as viewers.
And maybe, I'm starting to not exactly soften my criticism of Kirkman doing things like showing up at midnight and being like, yeah, spoiler, Negan beats Glenn's brains out with a baseball bat named Lucille. But if you are a person in this, you're the double D's, and you have a cliffhanger / tragic thing happen at the end of a season that I'm not going to get into because I want to spoil the Game of Thrones for people. But you know that like the casting and the shooting reports and all that stuff is instantly going to betray that.
Yeah.
The TV guide is going to spoil it for you, essentially. That must be super frustrating. And you can see Kirkman's antics as a way to maybe do an end run around that, where you put so much bullshit out into it's like chaff.
Right.
You got a missile locked onto you. We'll dump a whole bunch of...
It's camouflage.
Yeah. Put a bunch of shredded tin foil in the air and see what it thinks of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to hide in plain sight by disseminating a whole bunch of misinformation and half-truths and true truths, and that way it's a surprise.
Right. And that does work, but at the same time, it might also frustrate the audience. There's a
less patronizing way to do it, but
yeah,
it's kind of like, I guess maybe he sees it, because I'm thinking that's how you treat a little kid. It's like, did you get me a surprise? Well, it wouldn't be a surprise if I told you. No, what'd you get me? Did you get me a pony? Yeah, sure I did. No, you didn't. Oh, well, you just like, okay, whatever. I mean, is he playing that with the fans because he's kind of got that opinion? Like, if you literally can't wait, like. When a guy like Chris Hardwick or anybody says, oh, what can you tell us about what's coming down the pike? Like,
no one ever expects an answer.
That's such a shitty thing, because if he just said, like, well, here's exactly what's going to happen, he would be crucified for spoiling the damn show.
It's an unanswerable question.
Like, there is something intrinsically immature about the way fandom interfaces with the things that they love. And
You're right.
It's all understandable, and I'm not immune to that, but,
But to troll back, I don't feel like that's the way to go either.
Who's the guy that plays Al Swearingen on Deadwood?
I don't know.
Because he got in some hot water over the weekend because he gave an off-the-cuff interview where I guess he did something in an interview with a minor spoiler for Game of Thrones. And he was quoted as saying, like, at some point, like, Jesus, people, grow up. It's just tits and dragons. And now people are like, oh, he doesn't respect the fans. He does. I'm like, well, this is why. The guy makes a joke. He's probably laughing as he's talking to his interviewer. That one sentence is cut out of this, God knows, 15, 20, 30-minute interview, posted on fucking titsanddragons.com, and now everybody hates the man before they've even seen his performance. Like, what are you going to... You can't win, man. You can't win.
I would recommend not going to titsanddragons.com. I don't know what's there, but it can't be good. I've seen the weird ass fleshlight shit that comes up.
Bad Dragon?
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
sure.
Titsanddragons.com, I'm sure, is similar. You're right. There is a certain like silliness with which both sides interact, and it's kind of the way it's always been, and it's real stupid.
It's like the common refrain to sports writers is, "Oh, athletes no longer give you access. We used to hang out in the locker rooms and go out to dinner and hear all these wilds." Well, you know why? Because you fucking printed all that shit.
Yeah.
So now you get the corporate person that's protecting and preserving an image, and you're not getting intimate stories because you guys fucking couldn't handle your shit. So, like, I mean, do we want people to give honest and open opinions about stuff, or do we want to crucify and gotcha? And, you know, there's a fine line between holding people accountable for stupid shit and also getting bent out of shape when they make fun of, you know, when they do a William Shatner get a life kind of moment. You know?
Right. But I also, you know, you can see it from the other side, too, where all of these shows want to get their people out there and get the hype up and talk about their show, and yet they're willing to unanswer a bunch of questions because that would give it away, and rightfully so. I think it would spoil a lot of the show for people.
Sure.
But both sides want two different things, neither of which are willing to give those things, and it's just a bad scene all around. Mm-hmm. It's almost like don't do any interviews until after the thing's over, because then you can talk about it all. And you can lay it all out.
But even then, like, there's a backlash against that. Like, showrunners coming out and doing the postseason autopsies. I think that's fascinating as a fan. But a lot of people are like, just, you know, why don't you just let your work stand? It's so many opinions, man.
True. All right. Any other thoughts, or should we get to emails?
I think we're ready for emails.
Okay. Jacob starts off. Wanted to point out another major character death that happens in the comics an issue or two before the Bat in 100.
Oh, the Arrow.
Takes place after Abraham and Rosita break up, and Eugene starts to develop feelings for Rosita, which we speculated on briefly in the live watch with his fucking mullet haircut. I think the mullet's gone.
This is the biggest spoiler. I watched that. He for sure has got a haircut.
Oh, shit. He's going, he's closing in on Rosita.
He's Samson after he cut his hair.
Right. He's not going to get the girl. No. He's going to crush her to death.
Yeah.
In a temple collapse.
Sure. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Eugene and Abraham take patrol together to talk about Rosita. As Abraham is giving his blessing to Eugene, he is shot mid-speech in the back of the head with a crossbow by Dwight, Negan's right-hand man, and with a half-burnt face.
Right-faced, I was going to say. Half-faced right-hand man.
Eugene is then captured by the Saviors, which spawns a rescue mission by Rick and company. This leads our crew to the brutal bat scene we know and hate. Okay. So he doesn't speculate any further on who may be getting the crossbow. I suppose he thinks it's going to... Or who may be firing the crossbow, rather. So I don't know if there's going to be this guy named Dwight. We haven't really heard anything about him.
Right. I imagine you need somebody like Dwight, unless you're going to completely rewrite the Total War storyline. I will say this about... I'll say this about Abraham, is that Kirkman has gone on record as saying, you know, many times that his biggest regret, comic book regret, is chopping off Rick's right arm. Right hand, because of all the storytelling limitations. And do you see that in the TV show he's still got two hands? Mm-hmm. Kirkman's also said, in retrospect, if I knew I was going all out war, the least interesting thing to do was to kill the soldier in the group before you have an all out war.
Okay,
so if he takes that lesson and applies it, he would keep Abraham alive throughout the war and not kill him right before it starts.
Oh.
Did I lose you? I feel like I've lost you.
Abraham is shot in the head.
Oh, you thought...
I thought Eugene was shot with the crossbow.
No. Abraham gets shot in the head.
Okay, I was misreading that. A lot of he's in that sentence.
Yeah. No. So,
okay, gotcha. So that's a big regret of his?
Yeah, he says that's... But on the other, he says it's like the one at least... But I think it's an interesting thing to do is to kill the soldier right before you have a war. That's kind of ironic.
Maybe he's not a fan of the way in which he did it, kind of the random sort of...
That's the thing. Like this era, I remember that was a big gut punch, and then he follows it up with an even bigger one with the Glen, and it was a really... Like, it did such a great job of just like, oh, you set into the grim pleasure of watching Rick's group just tear ass.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, this is going to be like the opposite of Woodbury. And then Abraham takes an arrow, senseless, and then Rick gets, the Negan gets the better of him and beats Glenn to death. And then Rick has to, act like he's got his tail between his leg and pissing himself. It's all super fascinating and emotionally effective. I don't know why you'd change any of it, honestly. I like Abraham.
Yeah.
It also is weird that you'd set up all this tension in the group and then have him killed.
Right. Because there's a lot of potential story
if you're
there.
Kirkman, which way do you go? Do you keep the soldier for the war and keep that tension within the group? Or do you ease it off by killing him? But also, man, the people would be on edge again.
Yeah.
Because Abraham's popular.
I feel like I need one more scene of them thoroughly whomping ass for me to really be impressed by their skills.
Really?
Like, I know they haven't lost anybody in these raids, but they've really only gone on one raid, right? I mean, the raid on... The raid we saw this week wasn't a raid. It was Carol and
Well, that's
Maggie
what I'm saying.
killing from the inside.
Like the emotion in the comic is like when they capture Eugene and kill Abraham. It's like, can you believe the balls in these fucking saviors?
Right, and I'm saying I think I need one more badass moment for the group before I'm prepared to go there.
Well, but on the other hand, it's if you're expecting that and needing that and you get denied, that's a tension all of its own. That's why I'm saying like that tension and that dread is in the comics. But anyway, I don't know. And it also sets up some interesting possibilities. Like at one point, I don't know if they're going to do this, but I think it'd be interesting. Carl gets so fed up with his old man, playing the long con that he decides to go and he's going to take out Negan himself. And that goes.
That sounds bad.
But that leads to a lot of interesting storytelling that ripples years down after these events. So. I think that as always, I'm hoping that Kirkman just kind of mostly tells it as it is because there's some really effective things that I think it's possible that Kirkman just arrived at these as an accident. If he goes trying to fix the stuff, he might actually fuck up the whole thing that makes it work.
Could be. All right, Edwin C. says, this episode was mostly original material, but with one exception, which was the walkers in the hall blocking the exit. Negan has many outposts in the comics, so the building they attacked and the one in this episode must also be outposts of his. His main base is called the Sanctuary, which is an industrial factory that is huge. The way this ties into the comics is that the Sanctuary is filled with literally hundreds of these spiked walkers surrounding the gates of the building, and in between these spiked walkers are stone barricades all over. The only clear path is a windy road they created, which in itself is a tight squeeze.
Should we talk
as
about...
Dwight comments... did we talk about that like in context of the gate,
the fact that that's smart that you have to run a chicane to get to it?
Right. He's saying, I guess, that they did that also at Negan's place.
I don't remember the exact layout, but I do remember the industrial look of it.
Right. It says the next casualty in the comics is Abraham, which we just talked about, which I was thinking would be Tara, as she and Heath are going on a supply run, and Abraham also dies in a supply run from the look of the previews. Abraham's not back in Alexandria, so it might be him, but I feel like there's still character building between him and Sasha.
Tara was pregnant as
dies.
fuck. I think she's done with the filming, and I think that we just and if we see next time on that Eugene and Abraham are going out on a 2-man team, that's something that was teased a couple episodes of Sasha's conversation with Abraham.
Right.
Now, this could be a remix where Kirkman knows that all the comic book fans are going to be like holding their breath and the blow never comes, but it would not shock me to see him die.
Right.
And maybe he could use, Masterson's, whatever her name is, something. Alana Masterson.
Yeah, Tara.
Maybe use her pregnancy as a smokescreen to get two groups of people out there.
Sure.
Switch it up and kill her or Heath, potentially.
The other thing is, I was thinking about the impact. I wonder what Rosita and Sasha would feel about each other if Abraham dies. That's such a fresh wound, and then your ex... it's one thing if your ex dies years later. If your ex breaks up with you and then immediately dies in a car wreck, that would be kind of fucked up because you still kind of and Sasha's
still
to be fair,
from...
Sasha's not cheated with Abraham. She's you need to be a stand-up guy if you want this to proceed. But Rosita doesn't necessarily know that. And if Sasha tells us, well, thanks, bitch. He just ripped my heart out before he died. That could be interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Finally, Drew from Ohio says, if the all-out war storyline
sounds cuter that way
takes the entirety of next season or just the first half,
Do you think the show will follow with the time jump like the comics, or start exploring some off-book uncharted waters?
Well, that's the 35, 36, how many $1,000 question on the pyramid. That's the big question, right? Because smart money is if Kirkman is impatient to get to where he's at in the comic books and start telling his larger story and is not afraid to leapfrog and go beyond, then he probably should just do the time jump. If he's afraid, like, I want to get a little bit more comic and I want to tell some new stories, like, the expanded universe type stories, there's a perfect opportunity in that 2-year jump between All You Out War and where they're at to tell some more stories about how Rick kind of gets this coalition off the ground and all that. So it's like either way could be interesting. Either way is going to involve them making up new material. So it's like, which do you want? Would you rather be making up new material with the constraint of you got to go to this particular distance, target in a distance? Or would you rather get beyond that and just wherever you go is wherever you go?
It's a good question, and I don't envy the writers for having to make that decision.
Yeah, and I wonder what Kirkman thinks about it. Because, how does he... It's like, this is a weird reverse George Martin situation where, like, his comic book is his baby, but the television show is his baby, too. Who does he love more? Does he like coming up with new stuff for the comic books and then embellishing it and remixing it? Or would he rather start original screenplay type stuff and then have the comic ape that? Like, what does that do to the comic readership if,
I don't know, man.
This is all very interesting times we live in from a creative struggle standpoint with the stuff going on. Martin, they're going beyond his books now. And
cross-media type stuff. I mean, it's always been, it's a thing that's been done a lot, but mostly in movies and mostly with, like, finished works. Like, this is a book, and we're converting it to a film.
Yeah,
now with all these ongoing things.
Now, talking about the All-Out War, how did they do that? Because it seems to me the best pacing would be so Rick, someone gets their brains beat out, and Rick's put on notice at the end of the season. Next season, you could say, because I remember I felt like it took forever for Rick to finally build the coalition to take down Negan, and I was frustrated as a comic book reader. But not in like, I can't believe this bullshit, just kind of like, I can't believe Rick's doing this. Maybe you take a full 8 episodes to really, and like everyone in Alexandria just thinks Rick has given up. Because in the comics, he's shacked up with Andrea, and even Andrea's like, eventually like, what the fuck? And his son turns against him. Like, it might take a whole half season to feel that, and I can only imagine what the fans are going to say. Like how, but it's to tell this, you find out that Rick has got this grand scheme that he's cooked up with, the other leaders of the resistance to do this all-out war thing.
Is that something that's kind of brewing off screen in the comics, like you don't know about as a reader?
Rick,
or
you've got the way, and I've only read this once, it was a long time ago, but my impression was that there was a little bit of a gleam in Rick's eye, like they would have a close-up of his face after someone called him a coward, or I can't believe you're doing this, and he's
like mentally check-marking, I gotta get him later.
Well, no, it's more like, you don't know what I'm planning. Like, or like, you got to be patient, or he'd say something to the effect of like, you need to trust me. But
how long can they do that on screen?
I don't know. I mean, well, if Walking Dead can do shit for a long time, does it work? I don't know.
Right.
But I feel like the natural pacing should be like a whole season of that, or a whole half season of that brewing, and then the second half of next season to be the all-out war. Balls to the wall, gonzo. That also from a budgetary standpoint, because I imagine All Out War is going to be expensive as hell to film.
Yeah,
so you soak it up with a whole bunch of boring shit in the first half,
or you just up the budget.
Because I don't know. I honestly don't know how you tell the whole story in 8 episodes. That seems like 13 would be perfect. 16's too much. I don't, and you got the half.
Put
season.
Some morgalizing in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. Like a 13 episode that's split like 6 and 7 would be perfect. 8 and 8 something's going to be fucked up in the pacing.
Maybe an episode where Carl's eyes bothering him. They're out of Neosporin. They need to go on a run.
Well, I mean, there's like, you got these bottle episodes. So like Carl's sneaking into the Savior compound, and like that's an episode. Introduction of the Kingdom. If they want to do that, that's an episode or 2. But that's a lot of Rick waffling and trying to keep a community.
Yeah, I'm worried about that. That sounds scary from a Walking Dead TV show perspective.
But I mean, because I know there's a lot of people that have read this multiple times. It'd be interesting to see what their take on that, because I could be misremembering. But I just remembered it's like it just seemed. And the other thing is, this could be excavating it because I caught up to current right around issue 100, and I've gone from reading a dozen issues a day to like waiting every month for it to come out, and it could be some of that frustration is Jesus Christ, it's taking forever to get to where I know this is going to go. Yeah, 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And then All Out War is the opposite, because they were, for the core part of that, pushing out 2 issues a month. So it seemed like everything moved faster.
Yeah.
So that could be a part of it too.
All right, well, that's all I got.
If you want to send in thoughts on that, watchingdead@baldmove.com, or there's the comic spoiler thread on forums.baldmove if you want to talk at baldmove.com. Forums.baldmove.com.
Cool. Well, that's it for the show. We're going to be back, obviously, next Monday with another one of these. Hopefully, we kick it up a notch again next week.
That'd be nice.
It'd be all right, either writing-wise or action-wise. Either one will do. I feel like we're in for some morgalizing.
Sure. But
maybe a little bit better morgalizing than we've seen in the past.
Sure.
So here's to hoping. We'll see you guys next Monday.